Most college graduation ceremonies are kind of whatever, right? Some half-assed speaker says a few words about pursuing your passion, and then the dean recites a bunch of names, and then it's all over, and you go to brunch with your parents or whatever. But it doesn't have to be like that, does it? As I always tell you on this show, same is lame. And you are about to hear a tale of a college that chooses to do things very, very different. It's a place where graduation day is something that nobody ever forgets. College marketing everywhere in the world is pretty perfunctory most of the time. It's like they're afraid to stand out and be memorable. My youngest child is getting ready to enroll in a university soon, and my daughter is a sophomore in college. So I've been exposed to a lot of university marketing in the recent years. And the vast majority of it is, right? It's exactly what you'd expect and nothing more. But as I say here on the show and in my book, Talk Triggers, the more you try to fit in, the more your customers, well, students in this case, tune out. Vanilla university marketing isn't just a problem here in the US either. There are nearly 700 universities in Japan, a much smaller place, of course. Not nearly as many universities as we have here in America, but 700 is a lot nevertheless, I think you'd agree. And just like here in the States, competition among those universities and colleges can be pretty fierce. But most of the marketing in Japan for universities and colleges, it's pretty unremarkable as well. Now, we work with several universities at Convince and Convert, my content and customer experience consultancy, and I always emphasize to those clients that they must reach the world's most jaded audience, teenagers. And the way to do that is to not color inside the lines at all times. With the exception of the truly national brands like Stanford or Yale, most universities don't actually compete coast to coast. I mean, yeah, they'll get a student here or there from afar, but the real competition, right, is among a dozen or so similar schools in the region. Works the same way in Japan, especially for art colleges. There's 15 art colleges in Japan, and they wrestle, metaphorically speaking, for new enrollees every year. But you know what? You don't have to emphasize your awards and your professors or your dormitories when you're trying to differentiate your school. Because let's just say, for example, that you do have the best dormitories in your competitive set. But that's a bullet point. That's not a talk trigger. A talk trigger is an experience designed to create conversations. A dorm isn't an experience. It's a thing. Nice dorms are about competency, and competency rarely creates conversations. But imagine instead if you built your college's differentiator around an actual experience, something so fantastic that television news crews show up to interview the participants. Well, that's exactly what happens at this Japanese art school founded in 1946 in Ishikawa. How do they do it? Well, at this college graduation, students can wear whatever they want. No cap and gown, baby. And because it's an art school, the graduates take that opportunity and they go wild. If you're listening to the show as a podcast, you're going to want to go to talktriggersshow.com this time to watch the video because it is crazy. It's nuts. Here's all the students in the auditorium waiting for the ceremony to begin. It looks like a costume shop exploded, or like the cantina scene on Star Wars. Here are Super Mario Brothers. Here, and this is one of my favorites, is a student dressed as a giant violin. Here's a guy that created a meat for sale at the grocery store costume, which is gross. And of course, there's a bunch of other weird and cute characters represented because Japan. The whole thing is a total blast, and media coverage of this very special graduation experience spans the globe. You literally could not buy that kind of press as a small art college in Japan. But the sad truth is this: any college could do this. In fact, every college could do it, but they choose not to. They choose to be the same when they could be different. All except for Kanazawa College, my new favorite school. Next time on this show, you'll learn about a pharmacy that gives you way more than you asked for every time you buy something. To never miss an episode, subscribe now on YouTube. Go to talktriggersshow.com. You can also find the show anytime you want to as a podcast. Just go to wherever you get your podcasts and search for Talk Triggers. If I can help you come up with your own talk trigger, go to wordofmouthconsulting.com. And hey, do me a favor, if you like the show, tell somebody about it, right? Online or offline. After all, this is a show about word of mouth. I'm Baer. See you next week.